delicious, refreshing Coca-Cola. The consumer may never wonder how all those bubbles get there, but it wouldn't be Coke without them. Various dispensing systems use carbon dioxide to give or maintain that vital sparkle. But to the people who handle the gas in high-pressure cylinders, it's more than innocent bubbles. It's a job to respect. The reason for respect is obvious. Anything with pressure inside can burst. And the greater the force contained, the greater the need for safety. Safety begins with being familiar with the way things look. A return cylinder should have its valve shut tight. The cylinder must appear to be in good condition outside, except for normal wear. Look for the test date. If it's within 3 months of its 5-year test date or over 5 years, then set it aside. It's illegal to fill an out-of-inspection cylinder or one that is not your property without authorization of the owner. The valve gets the same quick, thorough treatment. Look specifically for any damage. Now, if your plant uses them, the tags should be wired through the safety cap exhaust ports. Now, this is to prevent removal of the cap from a full cylinder. If you did that, gas pressure would blow the cap off like a bullet. The Department of Transportation also requires that the working pressure of a cylinder be stamped into the metal. For CO2 cylinders, this must be at least 1,800 pounds. If you get a cylinder with less than that or with no figures, take it out of service at once. There also has to be a clearly readable carbon dioxide, liquefied, and non-flammable labeling. If you were inspecting cylinders, which of these would you accept for refilling? If you think 1 is good, move the audio selector switch into position 1 at the tone. If you think 2 is good, move the switch to position 2. Yes, cylinder 2 shows clean and undamaged. This means it should be set aside for further examination by a certified retester. Set aside not further examination by a certified retester, not refilled. Return your selector to the mix position. Your workbook contains other examples to choose from. Return cylinders must be inverted and purged. A rack which holds cylinders at a steep angle is necessary. Cylinders should have some residual CO2 pressure inside, or else add a pound or so. Invert them for at least 5 minutes while you go about other tasks. This will allow any liquid to run down to the neck. Moisture plus CO2 is a corrosive combination. Dangerous internal damage can result from water or product left in the cylinder. With the opening pointing away from you, crack the valve. Watch for rusty water or a noticeable odor. If you detect a noticeable odor or any discharge of more than a few drops, take the cylinder out of service and have it retested. When all cylinders have been bled, do one simple test. Tap each cylinder lightly with a ball-peen hammer or cylinder valve wrench. Each should give a clear, bell-like ring. Although aluminum cylinders won't be as clear-sounding as steel, you'll easily be able to tell the difference between a good, dry cylinder and one clogged with foreign matter or liquid left inside. Remove cylinders that fail this for retesting. Here's a problem for you to solve. Which cylinder is okay for filling? If you think it's 1, move the audio selector switch to position 1 at the tone. If you think 2 can be refilled, move it to position 2. Cylinder 1 is okay to refill. Potentially dangerous show moisture or rusty water. Return your selector to the mix position. Your workbook has more material on this subject. Once a cylinder passes your inspection and tests, it's ready to weigh. Compare the actual weight measured on a good scale to the tare weight, the empty weight, stamped on the neck. If the cylinder weighs too much or too little, set it aside for retesting. If there is no tare weight stamp, determine it for yourself by weighing. Now attach the filler hose according to safe procedures. If this attachment changes the tare weight, figure the amount in as you begin adding CO2. Should your scale use counterweights, add a 10 or 20 pound weight, depending on the cylinder capacity, and fill. If the scale reads numerically, add the correct CO2 weight to the total tare weight. Filling is a part of the job you do with particular respect. So do it right. Look, a container can only hold so much. At room temperature, a properly filled CO2 cylinder will exert about 850 pounds per square inch against the cylinder walls and the safety disc. As the temperature rises, the liquid CO2 all changes to a gas and expands greatly. At 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it's up to almost 1,500 psi. If a cylinder is overfilled like this, the pressure at higher temperatures will increase to dangerous levels, causing the safety disc to rupture. This is a violent action and presents its own dangers, as well as wasting a tank of CO2. But it does keep the pressure from going even higher, with the danger of the cylinder itself bursting. This is a possibility, particularly if it has been weakened by abuse or internal corrosion. The forces released by a cylinder failing are of an explosive nature and are extremely dangerous. Decide now which cylinder is safe and ready to go by its weight. If you think it's 1, move the audio selector switch to position 1 at the tone. Or if you believe it is 2, move the switch to position 2. The question was very quick. The tare weight plus cylinder 1 had a 20-pound capacity, maximum weight for the cylinder of 22 pounds. Cylinder number 2 is ready for the trade, while number 1 you must bleed off the excess CO2 before sending it into the trade. The correct weight before it's ready to go. Return the selector switch to the mix position. Your workbook has further information on tare weights and figuring total weights to prevent overfilling. Once correctly filled, the cylinder is ready for storage on an egg crate pallet. But in any event, it must never be dropped. Again, a question of respect. Because damaging or breaking off a valve means uncontrolled gas release, and if that happens, look out. To minimize danger, the filling and storage areas should be where there's not much traffic. Good ventilation is also required. CO2 isn't poisonous. But if there's too much of it, it can cut off your oxygen. This is why you never carry a cylinder in a truck cab. Preferably, they are transported chained upright or otherwise held in place, but never stacked like logs. To repeat, it is vitally important to protect against dropping or tipping the cylinder. It is illegal to ship a leaking cylinder. If you discover one, exhaust the gas safely and set it aside. Which is the safer transportation? And more importantly, do you know why? If you think it's 1, put the audio selector switch in position 1 at the tone. If you think it's 2, move it to position 2. Yes, cylinders may be stored on their sides in one layer only. Not fall or sudden shift could have disastrous results for loose cylinders, and this method helps prevent that possibility. Cylinders may also be stored in a separate rack for transportation. Now, return the switch to the mix position. Valves are fitted with safety caps containing a rupture disc which lets go when there is excessive pressure. If the disc blows or the cap is damaged in any way, you must replace the entire safety cap assembly. I repeat, replace the entire assembly. Whether you think of it as safety or just common sense, there are things you do and things you don't do with high-pressure CO2. Coca-Cola USA and your plant manager want you to know because it's a job to respect. Your meeting leader has more information for you now on CO2 filling and handling.